Alright guys, it's been a week since we did the last one, but we are back for another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup. Let's jump into it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel, and we have got plenty of transfer rumours to go ahead and dive into today. As we're heading into the second half of January now, this is where things really start to ramp up and a few clubs get a bit panicked when they've not done all too much business so far. As always, make sure to go ahead and leave a like if you do go on to enjoy, and leave any other rumours that you've seen going around in the comments down below. We also have the current situation at Derby to dive into a little bit as well. The EFL releasing a statement last night, and everything all seems a little bit muddled on this one, to be honest with you. I will be doing a bit more of a deeper dig into everything when we have the full facts, probably at the end of the January transfer window, looking at, you know, what Derby squad is currently shaping up then, if we have any more clarity from the EFL in terms of Derby situation moving forward. But yeah, not just with the EFL at the moment, but the situations with both Middlesbrough and Wycombe surrounding Derby. And in the immediate future, Wayne Rooney's future is now up in the air as well, with Everton looking for a manager. Rooney's currently the favourite on Sky Bet as the next Everton manager. The Telegraph reporting that they're set to interview both him and Frank Lampard for the potential job. Losing Rooney at this stage would probably be, you know, bigger than losing some of their star players, wouldn't it? The way he sort of galvanised that squad this season and getting everything out of them, he's got them to a stage now where, you know, the impossible is possible. I do have my reservations about Rooney though, if he was to take the Everton job at this stage. Yeah, you know, we have a bit of an obsession in England really with, you know, giving managerial jobs now to ex-players of certain clubs and things like that, and we've seen it go, you know, quite badly in the past. I definitely think that Rooney has it in him to go on and manage at that level, but being fast-tracked to the Everton job straight away seems, I don't know, maybe like it would all come a little bit too soon. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to know what your guys' take on that one is in the comments down below. Now, without any further ado though, let's jump into some of the completed deals. As to be expected, the departures at Derby have already begun. We've seen goalkeeper David Marshall joining up with QPR. This one to be expected with QPR in the market for another goalkeeper. Obviously, Seny Dieng no longer with QPR for the month of January due to him being away with AFCON. So understandably so, they were looking to bolster this position, and Marshall made his debut in their 1-0 win over West Brom at the weekend. Stoke completed the loan signing of Taylor Harwood-Bellis, coming on loan from Manchester City for the rest of the season. I quite like this deal. We saw him make his debut at the weekend as well, alongside Phil Jagielka, who also completed his move to Stoke. This one being a real blow to Derby. Obviously, Stearman will now be, you know, the man coming in to cover him for the rest of the season, but Jagielka had surprised me by just how good he'd actually been for Derby in this season so far. Obviously, with their financial situation and restraints put on them by the EFL, they weren't allowed to re-sign him, and so Stoke have picked him up for the rest of the season and got a really good defender there. They've seriously bolstered that back line with Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Phil Jagielka both coming in. We saw Swansea goalkeeper Stephen Bender complete a loan move to Peterborough for the rest of the season. I expect he'll get his chance sooner rather than later, and this one coinciding with Andrew Fisher, who completed a move to Swansea, linking up with his former manager Russell Martin. They previously worked together at MK Dons, and it was clear to see that Swansea were probably going to be in the market for a goalkeeper who was a little bit more comfortable on the ball compared to Ben Hamer. We saw Middlesbrough complete the loan signing of Florian Balogun. We've spoken about this one in quite some detail on previous videos, so we won't go into it all too much today, but in the end, Middlesbrough paying a loan fee to Arsenal for this one, and I'd be fascinated to know how many goals do you guys think he gets between now and the end of the season for Borough. Callum Morton completed the loan move to Peterborough for the rest of the season. He spent the first half of the season out on loan at Fleetwood, where he scored 7 goals in all competitions. Josh McGuinness completed the move to Wigan, moving over from Hull. This was a rumour that we spoke about in a previous video as well. We saw Swansea's Liam Cullen go out on loan to Lincoln in search of a little bit more football for the rest of the season. And Swansea also completed the loan signing of Cyrus Christie, coming in on loan for the rest of the season from Fulham. Obviously, they were looking for someone that was going to be able to play on that right-hand side after Ethan Laird was recalled by Manchester United and sent to Bournemouth. Hertha Berlin fullback Zifu completed his move over to Blackburn Rovers on loan for the rest of the season. And Middlesbrough got a deal done in the end for Riley McGree. Obviously, we've most recently seen him in the Championship in a Birmingham shirt, and honestly, whenever he was given those opportunities, I always thought looked like a fairly bright spark in that Birmingham side. Middlesbrough have been in need of a little bit more creativity and something a little bit different from those midfield positions. Speaking of Birmingham, they completed the loan signing of Onel Hernandez, who's coming in from Norwich on loan for the rest of the season. Spent the first half of the season out on loan at Middlesbrough. Got to see him make his debut at Deepdale over the weekend. This also coincided with Chukwuemeka moving back to Charlton from Birmingham. One transfer which does affect Championship clubs as well is Rangers signing John Souttar on a pre-contract agreement. Several Championship clubs have been interested in the Hearts defender previously. We've also completed the signing of Lewis Baker. He's coming over from Chelsea on a free transfer. Lewis Baker, no stranger to the Championship. He's had loan spells out to several Championship clubs and finally has that move away from Chelsea. His career's just been constantly spent out on loan, but has the chance now to establish himself somewhere. And Stoke were looking a little bit light in midfield with, you know, Sawyers and Nick Powell both out injured recently. And we saw Wigan complete a deal for Derby's Graham Shinney. On the face surface of things, it seems like really quite the blow here for Derby, obviously, but they do have other options who can cover them for the time being in that midfield. Obviously, Bielik potentially to come back as well, but Shinney no doubt will be a real miss from that dressing room, you know, especially alongside Jagielka. That's a serious amount of experience that they've lost there. Reading goalkeeper Rafael has had his contract cancelled and will be heading back to Brazil. This one not coming as a massive surprise, really. You'd imagine that he would have been one of the higher earners at the club, and with him not playing all too much football this season due to Southwood's development, this one makes sense, really. And Blackburn have completed a deal for Spurs youngster Dylan McCanday. This one sort of follows along on Blackburn's general sort of transfer targets of going after Premier League youngsters, but many of them we've seen come on loan to Blackburn. This one is on a permanent basis. Looks like it'll be a decent fit at Blackburn, albeit I can't, you know, claim I've ever watched him, but from reading about him, right winger, seems like a good fit into that 4-3-3 system. Him sort of interchanging with maybe Tyrese Dolan as two youngsters in that area. Seems like it ticks a lot of boxes here for Blackburn. Blackpool have gone ahead and recalled Ethan Robson from his loan spell at MK Dons. Said he'd been doing quite well there in League One. Obviously, Blackpool quite short for numbers in midfield at the moment, so no surprise to see they've done this after Ryan Wintle was recalled by Cardiff. And we've seen Coventry complete a deal for Swansea fullback Jake Bidwell. This one making sense with the injury that Ian Matson's recently picked up another option on that left-hand side. Used to playing in a sort of back three as a wing-back as well. Preston North End were another club who were linked to Jake Bidwell around this time, but it is Coventry who've got the deal over the line. But those are some of the completed deals which have gone through in the Championship over the past 7 days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. So we'll start out with the Jamie Paterson story because this one's got everyone talking on social media at the moment, and Swansea fans, I'm particularly interested to hear what you guys have to say about this one. So Jamie Paterson joined Swansea on a free transfer in the summer transfer window. He was sort of in need of reviving his career a little bit, really in need of a fresh start away from Bristol City, where he'd sort of been in and out of that team. You know, injuries hadn't helped him. He had a loan move out to Derby, and in fairness, he'd done really well for Swansea. 8 goals, 4 assists, on course to have the best goal scoring season of his career to date. And Swansea signed him on a 1-year deal with the option to go ahead and extend that by another year. Swansea then wanting to trigger that contract extension. However, Paterson was unhappy with the terms on this extended contract not being to his demands because of the season that he's currently having. And it's a difficult one, really, because I do see this from both aspects, really, and I think that in an ideal situation, this sort of thing gets sort of dealt with at the end of a season and not in January, because this just makes things all a little bit messy when they didn't need to be, really. I totally get from his perspective, you know, he's 30 years old now, he's going to want to get the best possible contract, and with the way, you know, he's playing at the moment, he'll, you know, rightly think he deserves that. But what then makes things even more difficult is the fact that he missed Swansea's most recent match because he wasn't in the right headspace to play because of this whole contract situation. And it's now led to what seems like a little bit of a standoff between him and the club, and could lead to him leaving in the January window now. You know, I'm sure that he wouldn't be short of offers or anything like that, but it would be a real shame to see, you know, his career at Swansea ending this way, because he was really sort of building him up, you know, within the fan base and the club with the season he was already having, and to sort of throw that away after just 6 months, that would be a bit of a waste, wouldn't it? And Nottingham Forest aren't giving up on their pursuit of Blackpool winger Josh Bowler, with the Reds said to go in with an improved offer for the Blackpool winger. Now, Blackpool, I'm sure, given their current circumstances with, you know, the injury to Keshi at the moment, will be desperate to keep hold of him for at least the rest of the season here. And it'll be interesting to see what sort of fee Blackpool are tempted to sell at, but from the players that we've already seen Forest being linked to in this window, it's clear to see that they are after adding another wide man. And it's not just one winger they're after as well, because the interest in Jed Wallace certainly hasn't gone away over the last 7 days as well. They're as interested as ever still in Jed Wallace, so maybe 2 wide players that they're looking to add in this transfer window, which would seriously bolster their options. They've already got a few players in those wide positions who have been doing a good job for them this season. May see one of them going out on loan, you know, maybe an Alex Martin or something like that. Wallace obviously didn't feature for Millwall over the weekend due to an injury, but looks like more than likely that something could happen on this deal over the next week or so. Christian Eriksen has been linked with the move to the Championship and to Fulham. Could you imagine the options they'd have in midfield if they managed to get a deal done for Christian Eriksen? He's of course looking to build up his career once again, although it does look more than likely that a move to the Premier League will be on the cards for Eriksen, with Brentford seemingly the most interested club. Reportedly they've offered him a 6-month contract or something along those lines, but Fulham are the club who have been mentioned in the conversations, albeit it looks more than likely that he'll end up in the Premier League. Sheffield Wednesday are after a centre-half to go ahead and bolster their back line for the rest of the season. A few Championship defenders have been linked with them. Stoke City's Denny Bath has been one option that they've been looking into. They've also been linked to Preston North End defender Jordan Storey, which would be quite the interesting one. He's not played all too much football for us over the last few weeks, and has sort of fallen down the pecking order a little bit. We play with the back 3, and he started the season out as our right-sided centre-half, but since Seth Vandenberg has been pushed back from right wing-back to that right-sided centre-half position, we've not really had all too much use for Storey there, so maybe a loan move out to League One would probably be the best thing for his career. It's also interesting as well because Bambo Diaby has been training with Preston, and you'd think that someone would have to go out for him to come in. He's been on trial with us for the last few months, and I think his ban is now up on playing football, so he's eligible to sign for a football club again. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see something in this Jordan Storey rumour. We've seen both Barnsley and Blackpool being linked to Swansea midfielder Jay Fulton for a potential loan deal for the rest of the season. Now, he's not featured in all too many Championship matches so far this season for Swansea, so either a loan move or a move out on a permanent basis wouldn't be at all surprising for Fulton at this point of his career. Was quite a key member of that Swansea midfield under Steve Cooper, and definitely showed in that time that, you know, he's more than capable of cutting it at this level. I think would be a really good signing for either Blackpool or Barnsley here. Birmingham have been linked with a move for Fulham centre-half Alfie Mawson. We've already seen them address this position in the transfer market so far with the introduction of Tindon Menji, who made his debut at Deepdale the other weekend. I thought looked really good. A real physical battle between him and Ched Evans, but Alfie Mawson could be another player potentially coming into this position. He's only started 1 game for Fulham so far this season. I believe his contract is also running out at the end of the season as well. And Birmingham have also been linked with a potential loan move for Fulham winger Anthony Knockaert. Now, by no means is Anthony Knockaert the same player that won the Championship Player of the Year while he was at Brighton. He was absolutely ripping it up during that time. You're getting a different player, you know, a 30-year-old Knockaert now who's, you know, much further down in his career, but still has something to offer at this level. Last season when he was out on loan at Nottingham Forest, he certainly showed glimpses of the quality that he still has. He's not really featured for Fulham all too much this season, just 2 appearances coming off from the bench. My only question surrounding this transfer would be, if Birmingham are going to be sticking with this 3-5-2, where does Knockaert sort of fit into that? Maybe they might be going back to a system with wingers, because obviously they have now got Arnold Hernandez for the season as well, so there could be something in that, but yeah, it'll be an interesting one to keep your eye on that one. It looks like Millwall striker Matt Smith is off and on his way to Salford in League 2. That's some signing for a League 2 club, isn't it? And I do feel like Millwall will lose something in Matt Smith going. Matt Smith always seemed like the decent sort of plan B, or the sort of gamble to throw on towards an end of a match, you know. His legs have gone these days, haven't they? He's not sort of, never was really a bit of a pressing striker, but he's certainly lost that even more so in recent years, but still has that aerial ability about him. He's won 6.2 aerial duels per 90 this season, which has him as the 4th most effective player in the air in the Championship this season. Just the 1 goal, but the majority of his appearances have come off the bench. 15 games off the bench for Millwall so far this season, and you'd expect because of this departure, Millwall to be dipping into the transfer market to get a striker, especially with it's looking like John Daddy Bodvarsson will also be off in January as well. Now, Jed Spence certainly put himself in the shop window after that fantastic performance in the FA Cup third round against Arsenal, and that has generated quite a bit of Premier League interest in the player, which is the last thing I'm sure the Nottingham Forest fans want to hear, because they had been hopeful of tying down Spence to a permanent deal. But Arsenal have been one of the clubs interested, and also Leeds United as well. Now, Middlesbrough are probably the biggest benefactors of all this, really, because they already have a fantastic player in that position at the club in Isaiah Jones, and they have one of probably the most saleable assets now in the Championship in Jed Spence as well. There we have it though, guys. That will wrap it up for today's video. As always, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Any other sort of done deals or rumours that you've seen going around. Obviously, we do have some Championship action going on tonight as well, so feel free to leave your thoughts on those ones. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do subscribe and stick around for some regular Championship content. Thanks for watching, guys.